Be my first rant, my first podcast, my first um, voice on a subject out there that is impacting more and more people every day. People who think they go in and that will never be impacted by um, the way that the cultures have shifted in a way that is now literally going against cultures, which is what I thought was the opposite of what the left, and this, of course, this is all about the left, or pretty much what the left has been doing. They've been changing culture in a way that they thought was supposed to benefit culture, supposed to benefit everybody, but in return, it is not benefiting. Uh, uh, Many people actually, a lot of people think that they're being benefited in the moment, but it's the future ramifications that are never talked about from these changes. And I'm going to talk about one here. It's a secret audio leak of a girl named, I believe her name was Lindsay Shepherd, where she was at a university up in Canada, and she was in a tribunal session about some subjects or some points or some facts that she brought up in class that challenged the current thinking or the thinking of that group of individuals or individual. So what I'm going to do, we're going to listen here, and I'm just going to break down break down some of the things, or just have my rants about it. I've already listened to probably about 10 minutes, well, about 8 minutes or so, and I was just steamed, and I was like, this right here, I have to talk about this. This is really upsetting. Like, I can only imagine what this girl is going through. Like, it's just overwhelmed by, I can only imagine, by overwhelmed by the idea that she could lose everything that she has gone to school for, what she has challenged herself for, what she has spent in time and money. She could lose it all just because of words. Words. At college, at that. A place that is supposed to challenge your ideas, your thinking. And yet they condemn thoughts. That's the outrageous thing. Rather than pointing out those thoughts that are supposedly outrageous, let's just condemn and expel or coerce people into not presenting those thoughts. That is the craziness. That is the craziness of what the left has done to the universities. The left is not benefiting the universities at the moment. In fact, they are destroying any credibility that the universities ever had. I mean, it was bad enough that people were already talking about in the last since I was growing up. Many people have said all these college students coming out, but yet they can't even turn a damn screwdriver. Which is there's a lot of truth to that. And now you're gonna start topping it off with condemning people's speeches because it supposedly hurts people. I mean, that's just, you're a whole new level of crazy now. Well, let's listen here.
That might have been seen as problematic by some of the students, maybe even threatening.
I don't see how someone would rationally think it was threatening. I could see how it might challenge their existing ideas, but for me, that's the spirit of the university, is challenging ideas that you already have.
See, and just to start off, this girl has the idea. She had the idea of having her ideas challenged when she started college, which is the perfect answer of why you go to college, is to educate and challenge ideas.
And I don't know who this came from. I would be interested to see the original complaint or complaints because, like, I don't really have any context, like, as to what exactly their problem was.
Sorry, can I?
The thing is, can you shield people from those ideas? Am I supposed to comfort them and...
These people are trying. Oh, no, they're sure trying. And they'll scare the shit out, if not try to ruin your life, just to shield these such dangerous words.
make sure that they are insulated away from this? Like, is that what the point of this is? Because to me, that is so against what a university is about. So against it. I was not taking sides. I was presenting both arguments.
So the thing is about this is, if you're presenting something like this, it you have to think about the kind of teaching climate that you're creating. And this is actually, these arguments are counter to the Canadian Human Rights Code. Ever since, and I know that you talked about C-16, ever since this passed, it is...
See, I'm not sure what the C-16, I would have to look it up to try to understand what this is. But what it sounds like is an Orwellian form of speech control. We deem these words okay, but we deem these words bad enough to where we'll lock you up and ruin your life for. And mostly to do with, because those words give people freedom. They give people the rise of knowing how to identify certain things.
Is discriminatory to be targeting someone due to their gender identity or gender expression. So bringing something like that up in class, not critically, and I understand that you're trying to
It was critical. I introduced it critically.
How so? Like
I said, it was in the spirit of debate.
Okay, in the spirit of the debate is slightly different than being like, okay, this is like a problematic idea that we want to unpack.
But that's taking sides.
Yes.
Like, it's taking sides for me to be like, oh, look at this guy. Like, everything that comes out of his mouth is BS, but we're going to watch anyway.
Okay. So I understand the position that you're coming from and your positionality, but the reality is that it has created a toxic climate for some of the students.
A toxic climate for saying words. No. They just created a toxic climate by just because someone's saying words. Now we're going to put you in a tribunal where now there's a chance that you everything that you built up to right now could just be destroyed for education-wise. We could just smudge it off like it meant nothing. Like that's toxic. That's fucked up. And that guy is one messed up individual right there. I mean that's how brainwashed these people are. I mean, just sit there, say that what she was saying brings a toxic environment, but yet who's getting hurt right now? Only her. Only her. Everything she's built up to could get destroyed. Only her, she's going to get hurt. Nobody got hurt besides her right now. That's this guy is
How
many?
It's
messed up.
great.
Ooh, like how many?
Okay.
One?
May I speak?
I have no concept of like how many people complained, like what their complaint was. You haven't showed me the complaint.
Yes, I understand that this is upsetting, but there's also confidentiality matters.
The number of people is
Respect.
confidential?
Yes.
Okay.
One or multiple students
Crazy!
come forward saying that this is something that they were concerned about and that it made them uncomfortable. You're perfect.
So what could be said right there is that 0 people could have complained, and just somehow a gust of wind of those sounds exiting her voice that made those words whiffed by someone's ear, and then later on talked about it, somehow could have that could have been turned into a complaint, but yet nobody actually complained. See, that's the craziness about this confidentiality. I'm sorry, this isn't to do with children here. This is to do with adults. Adults that are supposedly offended by some words. Oh, they hurt me enough to where I'm going to ruin someone's life because I was offended. That's what's fucked up. I mean, that's... Oh, yeah.
Really welcome to your own opinions,
Mm-hmm.
but when you're bringing it into the context of the classroom, that can become problematic. And that can become something that creates an unsafe learning environment for students.
But when they leave the university, they're going to be exposed to these ideas. So
College is not supposed to be a safe place. It is a place of challenging ideas and education. This is why we have so many college-educated people coming out now, like I said in the beginning, who can't even turn a goddamn screwdriver.
I don't see how I'm doing a disservice to the class by exposing them to ideas that are really out there. And I'm sorry I'm crying. I'm stressed out because this to me is so wrong. It's so wrong.
Can I mention the gendered violence?
Right there. That just shows you how little to no empathy these people have for this girl right now. They have zero. I mean, this girl starts to break down because she's fearing her life's work, essentially, to get to college, to get into college, to complete the work of college, to prove to society and to her family that she could do it, even to herself. They just like literally have zero empathy in that moment right there. And what that other woman, I mean, especially, I mean, yeah, women, oh my God, men and women. There's so many men, especially there's now men out there, but there's a lot of people out there, men and women, who think for some reason women are supposed to be so nice and so empathetical and all this glory shit, and they're so forgiving and better in environments like this. Right there is a great example of how shitty that woman really was, and how shitty the guy is on top of it. I mean, the fact that I don't know. At that moment, I'd be like, do you need a moment or something? Do you need some water? Do you need some tissue? Would you like a break for a second? We're sorry that we have to do this, but this is part of the procedures and stuff. You know, there's none of that. There's just no apologeticness to making her feel actually uncomfortable. And that's another thing. Is that the other people, where's the other people breaking down and crying right now? Do we see that? Do we hear that? No, we will never see or hear that. But yet we have this girl right now breaking down and crying over the fear of everything. And these people have zero empatheticness or empathy towards that. It's just, to me, that's just, what the fuck is wrong with college? Does college hire only sociopathic leftists now? I mean, that's, you have to be that. Or what's the other one? I can't even think of the word right now. I'm so worked up by people who never do wrong. Like, just with the N. I can't remember. But anyways, it's just, what are these people? Who are these people hiring? It's just. I mean, the quality of these people are so low. Like, I wouldn't even want to watch them. I wouldn't want them to watch my cat or dog. Like, that's how low these people, to me, seem. Like, but actually, you know what? I probably take that wrong. They probably would take care of an animal better than they would take care of a human being. And that's probably the truth of it right there.
Gendered and sexual violence policy.
Yeah, please.
So under that, it does, gendered violence doesn't just include sexual violence, but it also includes targeting folks based on gender. So that includes transphobia, biphobia, homophobia. All those sorts of things are protected under the policy, and so those are things that Laurier has upheld as values, as well as the Ontario Human Rights Code. And so those are things that we're responsible for not impacting our students in that way, and not spreading transphobia.
Okay, so what I have a problem with is I didn't target anybody. Who did I target?
Trans folks.
How? By telling them ideas that are really out there? By telling them that? By telling them? Really?
It's not just telling them, in legitimizing this as a valid perspective, as this is another valid perspective.
In a
on these
university,
issues.
all perspectives are valid.
That's not necessarily true, Lindsay.
Well, this is something that's being debated in current society.
So, can you explain how that's not always unnecessarily true? What she means by that, yeah, you're right on that, but you're wrong. Well, then explain. Well, just don't fucking just say, oh, it's not always unnecessarily true. What the hell do you mean by that, dude? I mean, there's people still out there who are trying to argue that the flat Earth fucking exists. Like, that shit's like, what? It's called challenging ideas. It's what colleges are meant to be for.
And I don't feel the need to shield people from what's going on in society. Like,
Okay.
to imagine that this is happening in university, it's just bad.
Okay, so
Bad.
just to give you a context, also within all of this that is happening, Laurier's being blanketed with white supremacist posters currently. There's another debate in society, which is whether or not North America should be a set of white nationalist states and that it should be ethnically cleansed of other people. That is also a current debate in society. Would you show something in your tutorial that you had, white supremacists and non-white supremacists debating whether or not other people should live in North America? Is that something that you would show?
If that was related to the content of the week and we were talking about right-wing speech bubbles, maybe.
Okay.
It depends on the content. Like, I mean, if there's really ideas that are existing out there like that, then,
What the hell is this guy getting at?
like, the thing
Jesus
is, like,
Christ.
I don't see what's transphobic about showing a
See, that's another thing. This guy is, somehow trying to compare what she was saying about, sounds like to me, so not giving much info on what the hell is, what she said exactly, but beyond something to do with transsexuals. Probably something to do with maybe the suicide rate, maybe how there's many psychologists coming out explaining how there's many of them who go into it and then transfer back because they regret the depression that comes from. Who knows what she was exactly talking about? But he's like conflating, somehow talking about these issues with white supremacy. Like, what the fuck, dude? Dude, like, see, that proves right there that talking about any sensitive subject matter like that does not exist on the left. Because any subject matter like that only exists on the right, which is really fucked up. Because it shouldn't matter which side talks about that stuff. It's a subject matter that should be talked about. It's like saying the right only talks about gravity, but does not talk about entropy. Like that'd be messed up. Like, why not talk about it all? It's all related to like physics. It's all related to what we actually deal with in reality. Like who cares what side you want to title yourself as? That is I don't know. That's the shit that I see all too often on the left, is that they have certain talking points that they label pretty much only for the left, and other talking points only for the right to talk about, which is really messed up, and that is creating a major division.
video of Jordan Peterson. He's a real person. He's
He
out there.
is a real person, but he is a real person who has engaged in targeted behavior that or targeting of trans students in a particular like basically doxing them, if you know the term, like giving out their personal information so that they will be attacked, harassed, so that death threats will find them. This is something that he has done to his own students. He has done to other students. And this is also something that the students are aware of. So this is basically like playing, not to kind of do the thing where everything is kind of compared to Hitler, but this is like neutrally playing a speech by Hitler or Milo Yiannopoulos from Gamergate. This is the kind of thing that...
This guy lives in the fucking fantasy world, man. I don't even care for Milo Yiannopoulos, but that guy brings a lot of good fucking talking points. And to sit there conflate the two is just... Oh my god. and to always go back to, that's all they have is to go back on a a subject matter that happened fucking practically 100 years ago, and they never tell the truth of how it led up to it. They act like this guy just fucking came out of the blue, this piece of shit guy came out of the blue to hurt a bunch and hate a bunch of people. I mean, that's fucking stupid to think that's the truth. I mean, this guy and many other people had a built-up hatred amongst towards groups that have done them no good for decades and decades. It was no wonder why they did what they did, even though what they did was fucking horrible. But what they did was, it was understandable. Like, come on now, you keep on pushing people in the back of a corner. What do you think they're gonna do? You do that to a tiger and find out it's gonna lash at you. It's called the backfire. You know, this is what's going to happen when you keep on pushing people into a corner. Like, it just
Departmentally, in terms of like critical communication studies, and in terms of the course of what we're trying to do, is diametrically opposed to everything that we've been talking about in the lectures. Was this one of the reasons that you wanted to do this? Because it was like a reaction to the lecture content?
No, we were talking about gendered language, and I was asking them to structure sentences using they or using his or her. And then we talked about the societal context of it. So I don't...
Holy shit, I'm glad I don't live in that society. Holy fuck. You gotta figure out how to identify someone and then call them their proper pronoun. I mean, that's outrageous. I mean, there are so many people out there who have illiterate issues with just knowing words or how to be fluent at talking with words. And suddenly, you know, they're going to be forcing people to use specific words. I mean, that is Nazi shit right there. This guy brought up Nazi shit. That is Nazi shit. When you force people to have to use particular fucking words for a certain context or discussions among people, that shit's crazy.
Get why I'm being seen as transphobic by virtue, by proxy of me just saying, just stating, just exposing people to an idea. I don't get how that label is not attached to me. I really don't.
It's more about the effect rather than the intention. If that, like, obviously that wasn't your intention, but nevertheless, it disturbed and upset students enough.
So everything's about those students who are disturbed. Everything is catered to them.
Can I just
please,
offer a
Robert.
different perspective? Was this a tutorial based on looking at grammar?
Mm-hmm.
And it was focused on the use of pronouns and the use of grammar.
Mm-hmm.
Is grammar not something that's not really subject to debate?
The they and the his or her, it's a huge debate right now. Can we use they in the singular?
Yeah, but you do know that they has actually been used in the singular.
Yeah, that was in the
grammatically.
video I showed to the class, and that's
Okay.
just a point I made. And the thing is, what's kind of funny is I disagree with Jordan Peterson. I disagree, but you guys seem to think that I'm like pro Jordan Peterson or something. It's pretty fun.
Well, do you understand how what happened was contrary to...
A great example right there. Someone who's actually totally against someone that these people would probably deem as a white supremacist, which is Jordan Peterson. She disagrees with him on many things, but she must see a couple points that he has for language, because he's excellent at identifying language. Language usage, and it's funny on how she's starting to realize that even though she's not on that side, she's being tossed on that side just because she showed a few or showed that view or showed those views. Not actions, but just talked about those views that they have. That's sad. It's sad. Canada's going down the drain in a psychological way. Like, I guarantee we'll see some major damage coming from it here soon.
So, Adrian, what was the policy? The gendered and sexual violence policy? Like, do you understand how?
But sorry, what did I violate in that policy?
So, gender-based violence, transphobia in that policy, causing harm to trans students by framing their identity as invalid or their pronouns as invalid.
Or something
Potentially invalid.
So I caused harm,
which is
violence.
under the Ontario Human Rights Code a protected thing, and also something that Laurier holds as a value.
Okay. So by proxy of me showing you the video, I'm transphobic and I caused harm and violence. So be it. I can't do anything to control that.
Okay, so that's not something that you have an issue with? The fact that happened? Like,
I mean,
I
know that I know in my heart, and I know I expressed to the class that I'm not transphobic. And if any of them, I don't know what they said, but I don't think I gave away any kind of political position of mine. I remained very neutral. And,
that's kind of the problem.
Give me a minute, please. I need to throw up after listening to that.
Alright guys, yeah. So it's pretty frustrating to hear. I think there's a little bit more here. This is the only video I could find through this person. I don't know who it is exactly. Thank you, whoever you are. Yeah. So just give me 1 second. So by the looks of it, that was it. That was the end of what was put out there, at least in that guy's video. So yeah, that was pretty heartbreaking shit right there. I can't believe that college people are actually like that to their students. That's fucked up. So that is it for me. Thanks for watching.